Y'all, I'm so happy you all joined me for my live. Tonight we will be talking about boundaries. And boundaries are not being rude, cruel, or not about being selfish. Boundaries are raising the standard for yourself. And tonight I am very privileged to have my cousin with me to talk about boundaries. She's someone that I felt can really speak on it. And take it out of theory. We hear so much about boundaries, but I do believe that she lived with boundaries and put it in real life in real time. So do want to introduce my cousin, entrepreneur, a mother, Kwanzaa Brown. Y'all give it up for her. And she's going to be talking with me about boundaries. So I have a few questions that I'm going to ask, and it's to gear us towards the boundaries and how we project boundaries in a day to day life. Like, we do know boundaries is having restrictions or limits. So, how do they look day to day? And so, my first question to you would be, when did you decide or when did you realize you needed to have boundaries?
Well, man, how y'all doing? I realized I needed boundaries at an early age, especially first of all, it was taught in the home. So, my dad was strict. So, no was always no. If he said no, that's what he meant. So, growing up with that and then you still gonna learn life on your own, is you're gonna live it and then you're gonna experience it yourself. So I guess at an early age I started doing hair, like at the age of 11, and I used to style people hair, have clients come and they'd be like they're gonna bring the money back. Okay, they didn't bring the money back, so it happened again. So like I said, at an early age, I really had to learn to set boundaries, stand on it, say no and mean it. Don't accept anything. So that started real early for me.
And I remember people coming to the house, and I know you did mama hair, and like that was back on the tail. So when you say you've been doing hair for a long
Long
time,
time.
like I remember that. I remember, and so it's like it's very enlightening when you say even at that age, that's when boundaries start. And for you to tell me that that's when you learn about boundaries when it
Hmm.
start, it also let me know that in some homes boundaries are not don't start there. If it
Right.
started with you at an early age, I mean, it was a possibility it did start with somebody else, and it's something that they have to learn
Hmm.
um, being older. So
That's
learning at
true.
an early age and them boundaries, and a lot of times, like you mentioned about, with the payment with being a hairstylist, and you're thinking,
Hmm.
okay, I want to be nice, and you just
Hmm.
okay, that'll work out, and when they don't do it. So
Hmm.
tell me, how did you learn? Like, what was a hard takeaway, or learning the hard way? What happened that you can say, well, I learned boundaries maybe the hard way, or was it ever a time that maybe you ease up on them boundaries and you had to, like, okay, let me do a
Well,
little check in.
I am a mother, so hey, your children, that man, setting boundaries with them is a big thing as well. So they're gonna test you more than anything, especially being mom. You with them more than dad and stuff like that. And at this point, being in a one parent household, hey, I'm having to really set boundaries, stick to them, and mean it. Because I'm trying to raise a young man to finish, raising him up and everything, even for my daughter. But I guess in life, though, we rewind back. I mean, man. Oh man, you trying to take it back. Well, I mean, I've been through some things. So even in relationships, you have to really set boundaries and things like that. Um, trying to take a little personal here, but it's cool. I
Right.
guess even in relationships, choosing relationships and things like that, You want to make sure you pay attention and understand what you're getting yourself into, so you can't ignore red flags and things like that, and think that it's okay because you think that, sometimes being nice, you would think that, but also people that's, I mean, just in general, sometimes you be like, well, maybe there's nothing or this or that, or you kind of look over things, we all been young,
Right.
we all been naive and stuff like that. But I was in an abusive relationship in my first marriage, and that's not something I just always talk about, but at this point, it's cool, maybe it can help somebody. So
Right.
there were a lot of red flags there that I did try to pump my brakes on, but I wasn't always able to. You know what I'm saying? So I did have. There was one time in my life where I did have to learn it the hard way, like literally the hard way. So from then on, that was it. That's something I would not accept ever again. And I hadn't. So I had to learn that. I was young then, but I learned it and moved forward, moved past it. But that was something.
And when you say that, I think that's a part a lot of people miss,
Mhm.
that boundaries are easy to set when
Mhm.
you're frustrated or when it's concerning someone you already not too interested in.
Mhm.
But the standard of boundaries is really heavier when it's our inner circle, people that
Mhm.
we do love. And so you understanding that boundaries are not because I feel ill towards you. I have to have
Right.
boundaries as a protection and safe for me towards
Mhm.
people who I do love, who I do care about, and I do want to take time with, but I have to have them standards and draw that
Yeah.
line. I think that's
And
what a lot of people miss. What what you just said about even in
mhm.
relationships, you have to have your boundaries.
Yeah. I mean, you
So
do it.
that
You go ahead.
I know I'm just saying, yeah, that's the heavy point. Like you say, you learn the hard way, and
Yeah.
oftentimes we do ignore. You see it and you don't
Mhm.
see it,
Mhm.
and I don't think people as gullible
Mhm.
as we would like for them to be, or we would like for ourselves to be. And like we grew up in the same family, so
Mhm.
it's about love, being there, forgiveness, and all that. So when you raise, like you built on that.
Mhm.
So when you see other things, it's not that you really gullible or you naive. It's
Mhm. That's
almost
true.
like you can deceive yourself, you hoping for the best,
Mhm.
and you just like I say, you deceiving yourself. And sometimes stuff do come that we was not aware of. But I
Yeah.
do believe sometimes as people, we kind of try to keep our mind in a pleasant or positive space. So
Right.
we just kind of see and not see,
Yeah.
so to speak. It's easy to see and not see. And
Yeah.
then we look at the bigger picture, like, you know, you almost, if you're not careful, I believe, or if you don't have boundaries in place, I believe you would almost like, you'll be lying to yourself.
That's
Like,
true. You
and
would.
you lied to yourself, but you just continue on keep this lie up, not to other people, to
That's
yourself.
true.
You
And
know,
that, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Sometimes you just have to see it for what it is, and shut it down, stand on it, mean it, and be okay with it. Be okay with your decision. But sometimes things are easier said than done. But when you
absolutely.
practice it and it
Yeah.
becomes a mindset, then it's a different ball game. So you just have to be. That's something. I guess mindset comes with everything, really, truly.
It
You have
do.
to have a mindset. So if you don't have no boundaries for yourself, then it's hard to put boundaries in place for anything or anybody. So it starts with yourself. It
Hmm.
starts at home. So once you handle it yourself, then hey, you ready.
You're right. You definitely right. You definitely right. It's something you have to be intentional about.
That's true.
You have to be intentional about. It don't just happen. You have
Hmm.
to make a conscious decision that I'm going to draw the line here, and this is
Hmm.
what matters most in this moment. And it's
That's true.
not that. I have ill feelings towards you or anything like that. But in this moment, I have to cut this conversation off, or in this moment, I have to leave because I have to build these boundaries.
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
don't, and that takes me to my next question, like, if you don't build them boundaries, or have you
Mhm.
experienced a situation like you say you learned the situation which you learned the hard way. So what
Mhm.
if you the fact that you told me that there was your first marriage,
Mhm. Yeah.
so it didn't end there. It did not end there, but you knew it got to a point where you had to close that part off. So
Yeah.
even though, like, maybe the levy was a little leaking, you know, so but you did get to a point where you had to be intentional.
Mhm.
So tell me, how would you say, what if you had not rebuilt the walls or boundaries? What do you think would have been a turnout, or what would you had missed out on because you didn't put them boundaries in place?
Oh man, if I hadn't put those boundaries in place, who's to say I would be where I'm at today? I mean, because um, having my first son, which was from the first marriage, he really was my strength to just do better. I just could not have him in an environment, even though for myself I tried to set those boundaries, but it was so hard. I was trying, but it was hard. So once I had him, there was like um, a whole new gain of hope or something. I'm not finding. Got to find the right word. He was my strength. He was strength like
Right.
my reason. Hey, I got to do better. Because I don't want things to end up in the worst. So I got to make a change, and so that's what I did. And I stood on it. I was like, God, you help me this one last time. I promise. There was one promise I kept. When I leave, I won't come back. I won't let emotions bring me back. I won't let what I don't have or what I'm not unable to do. Because, I was in a place where I was working there as well. We worked together, we lived together. So I had to really start all the way over. You know what I'm saying? And when you're dealing with a selfish person, that's just how it was. And not to knock my son's father, because I have no ill intent about it, against him or anything. That was my past. We moved on. I've moved on, well beyond that. But just speaking of it. So once I set those boundaries, I mean, it was up and up from there. And I mean, sometimes I guess I don't know, maybe I had felt like I had the worst, and then I had something great. Even though it was short lived, but that's where it come from. That's how everything went. So I can just say I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to have that and to understand how boundaries go. And I try to teach my children that, at an early age. I try to teach them that set your boundaries, mean what you say what you mean, stand on it. Don't let your emotions decide, for you. Mean what you say. It's okay. You don't have to feel guilty for doing it.
Right.
And you don't have to explain. Your no means no. Your boundaries are your boundaries. You said it, and hey, stick to it.
You're definitely right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what a lot of people miss on that too. They feel like they feel bad because they set boundaries. And
Right.
it's not anything to be feel bad about. Do what they say,
Mm-hmm.
I grew up like they say no love lost. And in
Right.
our family you have to know no love lost. We're gonna
Ex-
tell you like it is, and
Exactly.
that's just it. No love
E-
lost. And matter of fact, we telling you out of love.
Exactly.
So there is no shame or nothing rude or mean about
Mm-hmm.
setting those boundaries. And
Mm-hmm.
like you say, you have to tell your children that. And I
Mm-hmm.
want that I want you to go on and let us know more about you. What have you gained? And I heard you say like you experienced even in your relationship, like you
Mm-hmm.
experienced that one that was rocky,
Mm-hmm.
but because you did set those boundaries and you did do your separation.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, like, on the sunshine, how do that them boundaries, how did it improve your life? you
Well,
know
I mean, it improved. It really improved. And I mean, the thing about it, with boundaries, it's something you're gonna deal with on a regular basis from time to time. So even though you set them over here, you may be still working on them over here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, okay.
So I even have to set boundaries for myself, like, hey, we're not gonna do this today. We're not gonna go and stop by here, here, and here. We're not gonna go shopping. We're not gonna, we're gonna so it's you always setting boundaries and things like that. But I can say, as far as the relationship part of it, I didn't have to worry about that with my second marriage. I did not have to worry about that. Now, of course, you gonna always have to, y'all men, you know how we have to tell y'all do this and do that or ask y'all, But other than that, I didn't have to worry about stuff like that. So that was
Right.
peaceful. So the fact that I don't know, sometimes when you have the worst, you appreciate the good much more. When you
Yes.
receive it. Sometimes when you have the good first, some people may not appreciate it because they hadn't had the worst. But,
Hmm.
I was very appreciative and things like that. So, you know.
And that's really enlightened that, even through that, like you say, you do
Hmm.
learn to appreciate when it is good.
Right.
And what would you say was a non-negotiable for you um during that phase? Like what can you tell us like it was a non-negotiable? For what I've
As
been
it,
through, this is the standard.
you mean coming from one relationship to the next relationship?
Yes.
Oh, everything that I went through was
You're
so,
like
I mean, as far as the thing about it is, you I don't know, sometimes when young you make decisions and you think you may not know. A lot of times people think they know what love is, they don't understand what
true.
relationships mean, and they don't think they understand what marriage mean, and you don't. And I mean, it's not your fault, it's just what it is. Sometimes we young, we thinking this is something we want. So from that point on, when I met Joe, we talked, and you can kind of tell when a person is someone you're gonna move forward with, you're gonna marry. That man knows. Even me as a woman, I had the feeling. I knew it was coming. And so we had a talk, and I told him, I say, I don't plan on walking on eggshells. I had a son, he had 3 kids, and so I was like, we gonna either be a happy blended family or we just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like everybody should respect each other. Love can come later,
Right.
but the respect of each other should be first and foremost, and no animosity. So other than that, I mean, Joe was great. So I didn't have to worry about that. So he really
Okay.
made it easy. You know what I'm saying? He made it
Hmm.
easy. So he was very loving. I actually learned a lot from him. Even coming from where I had been and having to learn and understand things myself. I learned a lot from him. With boundaries. He told me early on he did not argue. He was like, I don't like to argue. Stuff like that. And he did. So I had something to say. I just had to say it and go on about my business. And I had to learn that was his boundary. He was not finna argue. You know what I'm saying? He would look at
Yes.
me and he wouldn't say anything. And so I was like, okay. And that taught me to speak your piece and just move on. And go on. Everything doesn't require. But sometimes when you don't understand it or what you used to or what you've seen, then that's what you kind of think
Hmm.
things should be. So you learn and live. But other than that, I mean, nothing's
But
perfect, but it's perfect enough for you.
I like that. I like
Mm-hmm.
that. And
Yeah.
I like that one point that I heard you say that respect comes
Mm-hmm.
before love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm gonna have to post that. I'm gonna have to post
Yeah.
that. Respect comes before love. And I think that is so valuable because if you really look at the picture of dealing with people, whether a
Mm-hmm.
friendship, relationship, if there is
Right.
no respect, I don't care what
Mm-hmm.
they say, it can't be
Mm-hmm.
any love there. So
No.
if you don't
No.
respect me, you don't
Mm-hmm.
love me. because
Yeah.
respect comes first. I think they're like, okay, let me pause
Yeah.
that. We're gonna pause right there.
And I mean,
But
that's true, you know.
respect comes before love. I love that.
That's right.
And
I mean,
and
anyone can act off emotions, you know. I mean,
mm-hmm,
and confuse those emotions for something that they're not, you know.
right,
So a person with boundaries, I mean, even you people, you want to the person you be with, a person you know, even in friendships, relationships, you want to surround yourself with it. You know, they have boundaries, you have boundaries. Everybody respect those boundaries. You know.
right. You know,
So.
and I tell people I have a friend that it took me a little time to get to know them because
Mhm.
to me, we friends is just everything or whatever. But I
Mhm.
really, really, really learned about his boundaries, and I love it because he's
Mhm.
more so very strategic with his time. And
Mhm.
he's busy,
Mhm.
so he's strategic with his time. And he more so, if
Mhm.
I call him and he can't pick up the phone, he gonna respond.
Mhm.
Are you? He gonna text, "Are you okay?" If I'm okay and
Mhm.
everything okay, this just casual conversation. Okay, well
Mhm.
I'll talk to you tomorrow when I get off work. And I'm like, that's a whole nother 24 hours. But he like, I'm going from this to this, so I'm gonna put you on my calendar to talk to
Yeah.
you. Or he like, okay, I just got in the car from work and it take
Uh
me
huh.
15 minutes to get home.
So you got
Let's
15
talk.
minutes.
Yes, and
You better
but
get it
being
in.
around it, I've
Mhm.
learned to respect it, and I've
Mhm.
learned like, okay, this is what boundaries look like.
Mhm.
And when you mentioned about with Joe, talking about how he don't argue,
Mhm.
I think it's very enlightening to surround yourself with people who you can grow from.
Mhm.
And a lot of people want to be just with people who we're on the exact same level. And overall, it might look like the exact same, but it should be some kind of areas that
Mhm.
they learning from you and you learning from them, or like I say, relationships or friendships. Because I know someone who no longer here, but they taught
Mhm.
me so much
Mhm.
while they was here. And
Right.
that was one of the things, like when you say that, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, that's a hit in my face because I remember them telling me that
Uh-huh.
I don't argue.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
not. I'm not gonna do it. I can't do it at this time
Yeah.
of my life. I can't do it. And as human, if you're not used to that,
Uh-huh.
sometimes we could be faced so much with. Even if I'm over the situation
Mhm. Mhm.
emotionally,
Mhm.
logic, I can't let that go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
experienced like it really not a big deal,
Mhm.
but I just feel like I should let it go that easy. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes we have things in us, and you have to be able to really see yourself and have
That's right.
clarity to know that it's some stuff in us that not always we don't always respond correct or how we
Mhm.
should. And like I say, sometimes when you've been around people who do argue and that's
Mhm.
your norm, and somebody
Right.
comes like, I don't argue.
Mhm.
It's
That's
kind of like starting you like, hold on. But now I really want to argue.
like I look. It's not so much that I just want to argue, but like say something, you
I'm
know.
upset. We got to talk about this.
Right. But you know, you live and you learn, and I mean, you learn too to listen for understanding. A lot of people listen just to respond, so that's where the arguing starts. You know what I'm saying? Because
Absolutely.
everybody listening to respond because, oh, you finna come at me, I'm ready to come back at you, rather than
Hmm.
listening to what you're saying and letting it sit. You know, and once you take it in and realize, okay, it was different. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. You're right. Because sometimes if you really listen,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get to understand if you really wanted to, you will
Right.
understand. But
Mm-hmm.
because you're not really listening, you just ready for your comeback.
Exactly. A
That
closed
already
mind.
explained the situation. And it makes
Exactly.
sense. It makes
Closed
sense.
minded, and your comeback is what you're waiting on. So
Yes.
yeah, you have to be
Yes.
open minded and patient, you know, and listen. Like you say, listen for understanding. You
You
know.
absolutely right. And so when it comes to relationships and it's setting our boundaries, I feel like that's some of the hardest to do
Mm-hmm.
because it's very lean. We lean heavy on emotions, and
Yes.
emotions a lot of time. I always seek to be that balance of
Mm-hmm.
making decisions with my heart,
Mm-hmm.
but also making decisions that are logic with my mind. And I
Right.
think when you make a decision so much with your heart, you can end up in some horrible situations. Because
Yes.
sometimes just because we have to know exactly like what them boundaries, like yes, I
Mm-hmm.
can love you, but I can love you from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like really hard for people to do. And that's why I'm so happy you talked to us tonight about boundaries. Like taking it out of the theory, taking it out of
Mm-hmm.
the book, but like this how it can be applied in your everyday
Exactly.
life.
That's
And
right.
so there's like a very like concerning relationship. Another
Mm-hmm.
thing that I remember, and you've been a business owner, and I know with a family,
Mm-hmm.
a business owner, and then like you mentioned, your marriage with Joe
Mm-hmm.
and with his passing, I
Mm-hmm.
know that brought about a change. That if I feel like if maybe if you did not have the boundaries that was necessary,
Uh-huh.
things probably could look very different. More definitely on a situation where two parent home to now it's you. And I applaud you for like doing it. And how do you do it? We don't know.
Yeah.
Because I know you really be there for your kids and you still run your
Yeah.
business. And then I know you did your move and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like there's a lot to stay on target with. So,
Right.
how did that change concerning your boundaries? How did your boundaries come into place having to deal with that kind of situation, life situation, and with
Um,
time management and everything just changing?
Woo, that's a whole nother sitcom right there. But I'm gonna give you as much of it as I can. Okay, so that was life changing. That was definitely because being a single mom, a single parent, that's something I didn't have. I had never been, in a sense. And even with Cal, when I left Tyrone, I was only there, me and Cal's for a minute, a mere minute, before I met Joe, which was something that wasn't intentional. It wasn't in my intention, but we met. And
Hmm.
grateful for him for, being the person that he was, helping raising my son. And he's really a hands on dad, hands on husband. We were together a lot. So that's a major change when you lose a person and you basically having to do everything. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm not gonna be able to do that. I gotta get the kids. I gotta remember now because when he was talking like, oh babe, I forgot to get the kids. He was like, I got them. If he was complaining, he did it on his way to get the kids. He never said a month like getting on my nerve. You
Yeah.
know to get the kids. I never heard a complaint. So he was like, I got them. And he would go and get them. So it helped out. You have that person you can rely on. So
Hmm.
being becoming who I am, I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna be able to work because there's no way I can do hair and tend to these children and be there on time. So
Yeah.
a dear friend, I always say he was like, things gonna get easier. I'm just like, still keep saying this, but like, what? And every so often you call and check on us, check on me and the kids, and he be like, it's gonna get easier. And every time he said it, I'm like, what is wrong with him? Because every time I think it's getting easier, it's the went back south. Every time I think I got it under
Yeah.
control, okay, I'm doing it. I'm doing next thing you know, I'm like, oh man, I ain't doing it. Starting over again, starting over again. So I just told I said, well, you know what? I said my kids down. I said, well, I'm gonna go to work. Y'all gonna continue to play sports, do the things you like to do. We're just gonna make it work. We're gonna roll with it. And I told my clients, I say my hours are flexible, which they were always flexible. That's one thing I like working, being in your own business. You can kind of maneuver like that. But I say, hey, if y'all can, my hours gonna be flexible. We're gonna have to work with it. If y'all can work with me, then I can work. If not, y'all gotta find someone else that's suitable for y'all. But I've had a great client base. They was like, okay, cool. And that's what they did. They worked with it. Me moving, it has been something I've always wanted to do. I would have done it a long time ago. And just before Joe passed, well, I asked him years ago, he didn't want to. He didn't want to be far from his kids, and I could respect that. Had I known they gonna be some great kids, I'd be like, bring them kids on. But I didn't know what I was getting into, so I was like, I better not say that. But yeah, so just before he passed, we had talked about it, maybe like a couple years, and he was on board about it, but I guess it wasn't meant for him to travel with me on this journey. So
Right.
I told little Joe, hey, I'm ready to move. Sometimes you feel like you just outgrown a place, and you know, you feel like you're being just packed into something when you really want to expand and do something different. I'm an adventurous person. And I like to take chances. I'm a little risk taker at times, but I was like, I'm just ready to move, son. So we got to do something. You gonna go with me? You gonna stay with your grandparents? But I'm about to go. He was like, okay. So it's been a great move for us, and he's at the age now where he's able to drive, so that's a big help. So
Okay.
everything has been going like their friend would say, things gonna get better. And he's kind of like a mentor, and he was like, things gonna get better. I'm like, okay, cool. And so I started seeing it. I thought about what he would say. I was like, oh wow, things are getting better. So it gets
Hmm.
easier. At times you're gonna get overwhelmed, but just take a breather, woosah. And you know me, I'm gonna keep a positive mind and try not to let things get to me. So so that's kind of how that transition went. And so kind of just taking it day by day, letting life just be.
Hmm.
Yep, just go
And
from there.
that mantra of things are gonna get better, I think the more
Hmm.
you tell yourself that, it triggers your mind to
Hmm.
start noticing how are things really going, like
Right.
past the surface.
Hmm.
And I think it's almost how you kind of looking for how they gonna get better. It's
Hmm.
like a little
Hmm.
hidden secret, like a little man in your head. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, I heard it's gonna get better, and I don't know how, but once you hear that enough and you're hearing it in the right
Hmm.
time, it start making
Hmm.
you into expectation that it's gonna get better. And I'm not sure how, but it's
Hmm.
gonna get better. And I think it's so
Yeah.
important to have positive people around you
Hmm.
that can encourage you when you need it. And
Hmm.
sometimes people, you can need encouragement, and they go crying with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
That's
just
true.
kind of, you already on a level, and then they take you further down. You feel
That
further drained after
that
talking
is so
to
that is so
them.
true. Because I mean, a lot of people would see me, they be like, I don't see how you fathom the fact. I don't see how you do it, but like I say, the thing about when you going through something like that, you grieving, you still gotta raise the children, you still gotta go to work, you still gotta pay the bills, you still gotta feed them. You know what I'm saying? Like time does not stop.
Right. It
So
doesn't.
you kind of just have to find a balance, and there's boundaries really have to be set with that. Like
Hmm.
you really have to set boundaries in order to maneuver. If not, you will find yourself going down instead of climbing up.
Right.
And
Right.
I guess, like I tell my children all the time, you have everything you need within. God has equipped you with it. So if your love isn't coming from inside, if you don't love yourself, you don't have your own joy, you don't have your own ambition, you don't have your own will, you can't expect that from someone else. You can't
Hmm.
even, you can't, I won't say give it, I call it more like sharing. So I feel like if you have it, a person can come and add to it or they're going to take away. It's only they either going to add or take away. So you choose. You're going to have to set boundaries to know which one you're going to allow. And we don't
Right.
want the one that's going to take away. You know what I'm saying? You can add to it, but other than
Right.
that, you have it. So with you having it and you losing someone, you're going to be sad, broken, all of that, but you still have enough to carry on because you had it when that person came. So when that person leaves, you're gonna still have it. You see what I'm saying? Just
Yes.
don't give it all away.
Yes. That says a lot.
Mhm.
You already had it. You gotta already have it. And then when they leave,
Mhm.
they didn't take it out with them.
Yeah. I
Your
mean.
hope, I think that's is very important for people, young people, old people, everybody,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
understand, to really know their self-worth. And
That's
I
right.
believe that's the foundation of boundaries. Boundaries
Mhm.
is knowing your worth,
That's right.
knowing what energy that you have to give, what time you
Mhm.
have to give. And it's not that the other people aren't necessary, or they are not, but it's because in that moment you have to do what's best for you. You have to
Exactly.
do what's best for you. And Viola Davis has this quote
Mhm.
about if it's about disappointing, if it's either disappointing the people or
Mhm.
disappointing myself,
Mhm.
choose the people every time. She says
Mhm.
something like that. Choose disappoint them every time, and then she go into saying that matter of fact, your life should be built on how often and how much can you disappoint somebody else. And
Mhm.
I think something like what that what I ain't trying to disappoint nobody because me, no, I
Uh-huh.
want everybody to be happy. We all good. But you do have to understand, even when like time management and like you talk about,
Mhm.
you running a business. You running a business, you take care of your
Mhm.
family, your husband passed, so now it's just you. And
Mhm.
when you look at that and understanding, yeah, my clients, they pay for their service,
Mhm.
finances is built, you have to have it. But
Mhm.
in this particular era of point in my life, I
Mhm.
only could accept those that can work with me. Like
Mhm.
we become a team. You can
That's
work in
it.
my time. The time it is not being rude. It's just I got to know what I need in this moment,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
I can service you. But
Mhm.
this is what I got available. This all I got
Yeah.
available, and I think God will give you some incredible people that will
Mhm.
respect you enough
Yeah.
that they would adhere to your boundaries. And if they
Exactly.
not adhering to their boundaries, that's one to me, that's a red flag to cut them
Mhm.
off. Like cut them
Exactly.
off. If I tell
That's true.
you I go to bed at 10 and you call me at 11 and it's not important, cut them
Right.
off. Like
Just like
because
that.
like you already said about respect come before love. So if
Mhm.
you love me, you will respect
Mhm.
me. So if I see you not
Mhm.
respecting me, I know
Mhm.
that you don't really love me.
That's
So
right.
I think that's kind of like you say, it go hands in
Mhm.
hand with that.
Yeah.
And we have talked about like the relationship and even with time management, having them boundaries because a lot of people think that, and I can imagine in that moment, how am I
Mhm.
going to work, take
Mhm.
care of family, and actually
Mhm.
be active? Like
And be
with
on time.
yes, and with Lil Joe being in sports and like trying to do the sport thing, and that is
Exactly.
a lot. And I
That's a lie.
remember a couple years ago,
Mhm.
I think it been 3 years ago, but I remember I had a conference and I was
Mhm.
surprised, and it was on a Saturday. So I was
Uh-huh.
surprised you came. I like,
Oh yeah.
oh
Yeah.
wow.
Look, you caught me on a
Because
free Saturday.
yes, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
How that happened? Because
Yeah.
I know being a hairstylist and
Mhm.
with that, you still made it to that conference. And I
Yeah.
think it's because you have to know what matter in that time
Yeah.
and making good use of your time,
Yeah.
of your
That's
time. Like you have time means a lot.
yeah.
Concerning boundaries, more definitely. You have to learn how to wrap conversations up, not be
Mhm.
on the social media so much.
Mhm.
Uh set boundaries
Boundary.
like, okay, let me get on up. When you
Yes.
got
Yes.
boundaries, it start when you open your eyes and it's
Mhm.
set till you close your eyes. And even while your eyes closed,
Exactly. Cause they will come
like,
in there and hunt you.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people don't
It,
realize like all of it is setting boundaries
mhm.
and it boils back down to your own self-worth. Your own
Right.
self-worth. That you have to know that I have to do what's best for me in
Mhm.
this moment. And
That's right.
sometimes your heart will want stuff that's not
Mhm.
best for you. And you
Exactly.
have to know, because sometimes if I set myself up, and
Mhm.
for example, if I say I'm going to bed at 10 and somebody who
Mhm.
I like to talk to call me at 11, and I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking, well, I wanted to talk. So it's
Right. Right.
fine.
Mhm.
But you have to realize that it's don't you really harming yourself. You
Mhm.
really harming yourself. And I made a post this week about if it's a boundary that you don't enforce, it's just a
Mhm.
suggestion. And you
Exactly.
and you have to realize
That part.
concerning my boundaries, these are not I'm not suggesting you do it and
Mhm.
not making a suggestion. I'm enforcing them
Right.
because where I'm trying to go is gonna
Mhm.
require these
Mhm.
boundaries.
That's true.
And with your move, with the everything that have happened on your journey. And
Mhm.
like when I thought about talking about boundaries,
Mhm.
you were the first person that came to my mind. And I think we had like it was a post I posted, and I can't even remember what it was
You
about.
did.
But
You did. I can't remember either, but I remember we spoke on some things. Yeah.
yes, and when you was in comment there and we was in conversation, I
Uh
like
huh.
I want to stop talking. I want to stop typing and start talking. Like,
Right. Right.
at this point, let
Yeah.
me stop typing. I want to stop typing and just start talking
Yeah. Because
because it was
sometimes
really
I time
like
in.
good.
Yeah. Hey, if I catch a good one and it's worthy, I also have boundaries with that. Also depends on who. If it's something good though, I like to chime in on it, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I like to be supportive, just like you said, I come out to your thing. I try to be supportive to my family and different people, but sometimes my time, like I tell people, my son plays sports. So hey, we probably gonna be at the ball field. And I love being at the ball field. I'm not gonna lie, I love it. So, when we on our downtime, we on our downtime. But, if not, we're at the ball field.
hmm
Yeah,
and
but yeah, so
and it is very important to make that time with your family, make that time with your occupation, and
mhm.
it can all be managed, but it
Mhm.
boils back down to having them boundaries set,
That's true.
boundaries in place.
That's true.
So tell me, what would be one takeaway that for someone that may be struggling with boundaries, that they feel like it's just hard for them to say no? What would you tell them?
Well, I guess, it's hard for them to say no. I'm a person, you just got to do it. You got to do it, and you have to, hey, talk to yourself. I said no. Hey, that's what it's going to be, and stick to it, stand on it. Uh, I know we grew up being taught to do things for others, but sometimes we have to be taught to just do it for yourself. Period. Just it's about you. You can't be nothing for anybody, or you can't help yourself unless you help anybody unless you do things for yourself first. So it's okay to love on yourself first before trying to do anything for anybody, regardless of what it is. And it's okay. You don't have to feel guilty about it. So
Right.
love yourself, put yourself first, and hey, no means no. That's a something I talk to my children about all the time, especially my girl. When I say no, don't come ask me again because I know I already thought about it. And if I say no, I try not to just say no to everything because there's some things you're gonna have to go back on. But I teach them if I say no, I done thought it forward, backwards, over, flipped it over, and everything. The no is a no. Don't come back. And if they
Yeah.
can't understand that, then it's a problem. So what I do, I stick to it. It may hurt, but hey, you stick to it and go on. You'll see the results. You know.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And I think that what you have to know, that you will see the results by
Mhm.
saying no.
Yeah.
By having them boundaries, you will get results. And it's gonna
Exactly.
be aligned with where you're really trying to go.
It
So I
will. It
think
will.
that, yeah, that's very enlightening. And like you say, just do it.
Yeah.
Say
Just do it.
no. No is a full sentence.
Exactly. And watch
Like it
where
don't need any
it takes
explanation.
you. Mm-mm.
Yes, yes, I
Mm-mm.
think that's, yeah, very enlightening. That at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
just say no.
Mm-hmm.
It's no easier way to do it. You can
No.
negotiate, you can talk about it, you can try to see how you gonna say it, but at the end of the day, you gonna have to put in action and set
Exactly.
those boundaries, put in action and say no.
Well, see, when you kind though, is when you a kind person, it's harder to say no sometimes because even in my business career, I would a client back before I started doing appointments, a client would come in be like, hey, can I get in? I want to get my hair done today. I'd be like, yeah. I didn't want to say no. I want to do their hair for them. And it happened a couple times where I ended up in the salon at 2, 3 in the morning because I did not say no, because I thought I could and I was trying to be kind. So sometimes you just have to let that go. No means no because at the end of the
Hmm.
day, you saying yes, but they could have came at a decent time also. You see what I'm saying? So were you trying to be kind to them? Were they considerate of the fact that they could have been kind to your business hours, your timing, the fact that you have a family, the fact that you need to get out, the fact that you've been standing up all day. So, like I say, think about self. It's okay to be selfish. It is okay. So, sometimes you just have to be selfish, in a good
Hmm.
way. And some people may not understand it. It's cool because, but the ones that do understand it, or the ones that hear it and let it sit in, they will understand it. It's okay to be selfish.
It is. It is. And
Hmm.
that's something we, as a people, we don't teach enough of, that
We
it's
teach the
okay.
opposite. We teach
We
the
do.
opposite.
We do. We teach the opposite. Like, put everybody before yourself, and you're going to get the reward
Exactly.
at the end. But you really, but if you
Exactly.
pour all of you out to everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
what's going to be left for you when you get
Exactly.
thirsty? You
Exactly.
know, when it's time for you to drink
Mm-hmm.
and you gave everybody else, you to pour water for everybody else, and it's time for you to drink, what happens? And even the
Exactly.
scripture, I believe in the word, and the word say,
Huh?
"Save yourself from this untoward generation." And I feel like save yourself from anything. At the end of the day, in
Right.
order for you to help somebody else, you have to
Mm-hmm.
be able to help yourself.
And
In
that's
order
right.
for you to um, save somebody else. You have to be able to save yourself. Like
Mm-hmm.
in any
Mm-hmm.
time, and I love the fact that you mentioned it's nice, it's good
Mm-hmm.
southern hospitality, and it's good
Mm-hmm.
business to take
Right.
somebody a walk in. Y'all late, or I want,
Mm-hmm.
you need your hair done. You might have an interview, or you got a point, you got some of, and
Mm-hmm.
I know you want your hair done. And matter of fact, the fact that you thought about me enough to,
Mm-hmm.
come to my shop and want me to do it, I'm
Mm-hmm.
pleased, and you know.
All
But
that goes into consideration.
I love the fact you say, well, I appreciate that, but you could have came earlier too. Because I
Mm-hmm.
have a family just like you have a family. And
Mm-hmm.
when you set boundaries, you have to think about that. A lot of
Yeah.
times, even when conversations or time with people or someone calling you, they need you to do this and that.
Mm-hmm.
That's cute and that's nice. But if you
Right.
get you off course from what you had to do that day, you're
Mm-hmm.
putting yourself in harm's way. Because now you're behind and they're on track. So we
Exactly.
have to set those boundaries for
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about with no guilt,
Mm-hmm.
it just
Don't
is
feel
what it
guilty
is.
about it. It is what it
You
is.
cannot.
You
It's for
can't.
you.
That's right. And if you feel it, just let it be felt and go on. That's the thing. We live
Right,
on
because you
emotions. We gotta stop living on emotions sometimes.
you do. You do. You gotta get
That
out of
will
them emotions.
that'll get you in trouble.
Right.
Yes,
You're
it will.
right. You're right. They really will. So
Mm-hmm.
with boundaries and like I really feel like I can close tonight with what you said about respect comes
Mm-hmm.
before love.
Mm-hmm.
You have to enforce people respecting you. You have to
Mm-hmm.
have respect for yourself.
That's right.
And anytime you don't respect yourself, you don't
Mm-hmm.
show a standard for yourself, that's
Mm-hmm.
how people gonna respond to you.
That's
And
right.
I have experienced people, a lot of people, people who requires more,
Mm-hmm.
others give more to them. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they know that you require a certain standard. And
Right.
so it's very important what you allow in your personal
Mm-hmm.
space.
That's right.
It's like I remember, I feel like we all were raised like being very respectful, and I have
Right.
known people to respect my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't really like show good skill respecting their own. But it's
Right.
because what you allow when
Exactly.
people see other people respecting
Mm-hmm.
someone, they tend to grasp to it. So when people
Mm-hmm.
see you respecting yourself and you have these standards for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
they'll get in line. They'll
Mm-hmm.
get in line and they'll grasp to what your mission is, and that's to grow and to prosper and grow in life. Like we don't want to just become older, but you want to grasp some along the way. And
That's
things that get you to your next level, it's
mm-hmm.
gonna take boundaries. You're gonna have to lock in on your goals. and have those boundaries. Like we
That's right.
can't avoid it. We can't
And
avoid it.
that's so true. And then the thing about the energy you have, sometimes you have this such a type of energy or aura. Some things are not gonna come your way anyway.
Right.
So like you say with your mom, they respecting her. The ones that's not gonna be respectful or not wasn't gonna come anyway. You see what I'm saying? They're
You're
gonna go
right.
the other way because if they don't want to do it, they're not gonna be there anyway because it's not their territory. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So yeah.
So you want to make sure you're drawing and attracting the right people to
Mm-hmm.
come around. And
That's
if
right.
you're not aligned with yourself and you're not treating yourself with them standards, you really need to come in your life.
Exactly.
So you have to move further and really show people. You have to be an example on how you want people to treat you, and it's
That's
gonna
true.
start with boundaries. It's gonna
That's
really start
true.
with boundaries.
That is so true. So true. I
Yeah.
agree. I
So
agree.
I really appreciate you for coming on tonight and
Anytime,
giving
fam.
enlighten us with boundaries and how it's in real time of
Yes.
setting no boundaries. And just really enlighten us, like taking it off the books and the theories and like how does it really look? And you have given us
Right.
how it look in relationships. You giving us how it look in a business.
Mm-hmm.
How it look in with your family.
Mm-hmm.
Like the total package. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate you for coming on. I really appreciate
Anytime.
you for coming on tonight. And if anybody have any questions, hey, you can fill the comment section up. Have ask them questions in the comments. We'll get to them questions and we'll be able to comment back and whatever we have to say to your comment, we'll answer the best of our knowledge. If it's just
Okay.
advice or anything, just load the comments up. We'll read them.
That's
So
right. I'm in Georgia, cuz.
I appreciate you. You all have a good night, and we will see you the next time. Look for out for the post about boundaries, relationship, execution. Just stay on the page, and you will get something. You all stay consistent, and you all stay cool.
All right, Uncle Cool.